Episode 2 A Wrathful God in a Booming City. Imagine the hustle and bustle of an ancient Greek city street, brightly colored in both dress and architecture, the Mediterranean sun shining upon the terracotta roofs of thousands of homes and the Parian marble stones of the nearby temple, repairs being carried out on houses and workshops, families and friends conversing as they perform their daily tasks. This was ancient Helike, a city of thousands of people with real and dynamic lives. To understand how the city came to be, we must first take a critical look at the mythic folklore which surrounded it from the earliest days of Greek literature and storytelling. The mythos of Helike and the archaeological evidence of the city are not far apart. In the mythical founding of Helike, King Ion of the Ionians, a cultural group of ancient Greece, founded the city under his wife's name during Greece's Mycenaean period in the Bronze Age. The archaeology of the region shows the earliest iteration of Helike as emerging between 2500 and 2100 BCE, somewhat before the Mycenaean period but not drastically so. By the late Bronze Age, Helike had become a significant city, with it participating in the Trojan War by sending, alongside other Achaean cities, 100 ships to Troy as mentioned by Homer in the Iliad. Once more, the archaeological evidence is in agreement, with evidence of a proto-urban settlement at Helike existing in the Bronze Age, with centralized administration and city planning, along with massive amounts of pottery pointing to a significant source of import, industry, and population. From both literary and archaeological evidence, it is clear that Bronze Age Helike was rapidly developed into a significant population center, with both political and military weight. A key part of Helike's history is the expulsion of its original Bronze Age population, the Ionians. Ancient sources note the departure of the Ionians from the region of the northern Peloponnese to the westernmost region of Anatolia, which was known to the Greeks as Ionia. Ionia is now defined as the western coast of the modern nation of Turkey. The reason for this migration was the incursion of the Achaeans, another Greek cultural group with such famous figures as Agamemnon, the semi-mythical king of Mycenae himself. Much academic debate revolves around the reality of this migration, but the people who inhabited Ionia felt distinctly tied to the northern Peloponnese even centuries later. Several ancient sources specifically mention the diasporic Ionians as being connected to the city-state of Helike through both religious practice and the city being one of the final bastions of the Ionians prior to their expulsion. Helike was now split between the original city, now run by Achaeans, and the Ionian descendants of Helike, scattered to the winds across the Mediterranean. After the expulsion of the Ionians, Helike remained politically, economically, and militarily significant. She became the principal city of the region of Achaea, with several satellite settlements growing in the sphere of her influence. A key reason for Helike's prominence was the landscape it was situated upon. In the Bronze Age, the city had been founded on the shore of a coastal lagoon, providing a key port from the Peloponnese interior and the wealthy region of Attica to the Gulf of Corinth and the wider central and western Mediterranean. Throughout its history, Helike largely remained within a few hundred meters of the coast, maintaining active maritime trade with Asia even during the supposed Greek Dark Age and the transitionary period between the Bronze and Iron Ages, and persisted deep into the Roman and Byzantine periods. The city became a hub of industrial activity, exporting ceramics including massive pithoi and amphorae, products of metalwork, large-scale textile industry, and the construction of a significant temple built of the most prestigious marble in the ancient world, Parian marble. The economic prevalence of this city was maintained for thousands of years, despite prolonged periods of conflict, wider regional disruptions, and as we will soon touch on next episode, repeated natural disasters. The economic and political prominence of Helike allowed for the pursuit of colonies. In the first half of the first millennia, ancient Greeks had begun developing colonies across the Mediterranean world, reaching to North Africa, the coast of Spain, the Black Sea, and the Italian peninsula. The most prominent of Helike's colonies would be Sybaris, founded in the 8th century BCE in Magna Graecia, now known as southern Italy. Tellingly, Sybaris was founded by a local Helikian nobleman rather than being a gradual colonization through mercantilism, as was often seen across the Greek world. Sybaris was therefore founded through an organized expedition, which serves as a note of Helike's economic stability and prominence. Sybaris herself would quickly become the most powerful colony in Magna Graecia, founding further satellite settlements throughout the region. Sybaris remained as an important economic and political center until she was destroyed by her rivals from Croton in the late 6th century BCE. To demonstrate the importance of the city and the Achaean influence on Magna Graecia, the ancient Roman writer Polybius notes in his histories that the Achaean constitution was in fact adopted by the majority of the Greek colonies in the region. Furthermore, the Achaeans, whose principal city was still Helike at the time of intensive colonization of the region, were often the arbitrators in disputes for the colonial Greeks. The connection between Helike and southern Italy was significant and long-lasting, and demonstrates the metropole's substantial political and economic power. The diasporic Ionians operated in a similar manner to the Achaeans at Helike, establishing colonies of their own and bringing the culture of the Helikian metropole to those new and powerful colonies. Across the Black Sea, two of the most important eastern colonies were established by the Ionian cities of Asia Minor, which were named Sinope and Amisos. Despite several degrees of separation between Helike and the Black Sea colonies, cultural connections were still very much preserved. In the coming episode, we will discuss the role of the cult of Poseidon Helikonios. This cult was perpetuated and actively developed not only in Helike, but in her many limbs, stretching from the northern coast of the Peloponnese to the south of the Italian peninsula, western Anatolia, and the Black Sea. In Helike, location was everything, both in allowing for rapid economic development while also being core to the repeated destruction of the city. The Gulf of Corinth, while a vital trade route from mainland Greece to the wider central and western Mediterranean, was split by several rifts and faults. These faults created some of the most intense seismic activity in the already seismic eastern Mediterranean. How this would be interpreted by the Helikians would come to shape their entire way of life and ritual in the god of earthquakes and the sea, Poseidon himself.